Hi, everybody. Bobby Easton here. We're on the Breaking the Biz podcast.
Breaking the Biz. Breaking the Biz. Breaking the Biz.
Stay tuned for today's episode of Breaking the Biz, an informative podcast where we dive into the world of entertainment by interviewing seasoned professionals who have made their mark in the industry. Gain invaluable insights as they share their personal journeys, offering advice on navigating the dynamic landscape of the entertainment industry. Whether you're an aspiring actor, musician, filmmaker, author, animator, or any creative soul, tune in for expert career guidance, insider tips, and first-hand accounts on breaking into the entertainment industry. Get ready to unlock the secrets behind successful careers and fuel your own passion for the limelight. Please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channels for more great conversations.
Greetings from Breaking the Biz, brought to you by Yes I Can Unity Through Music and Education. I'm William Felber, your navigator through the intriguing universe of the entertainment industry, as revealed by the visionaries and creators who bring it to life. Stay tuned as we delve into diverse insights from the forefront of entertainment, hearing from pioneers, creators, and agents of change. Prepare for a journey filled with tales of innovation, resilience, and the undying quest for artistic brilliance.
I want to welcome everyone to Breaking the Biz podcast with the Yes I Can crew. We have got a great soul, multi-talented, multi-instrumental artist as well. We have Bobby Easton. Along with being a well-traveled musician, he has produced his own music festival and kept the funk culture alive. He's been in the studio with Janelle Monáe, Van Halen, Beck. He's been on the stages of the Hollywood Bowl, Palladium, Nokia Theater, Ford Theater, American Idol, in a 5-year run at Disneyland California Adventure. Co-founded the Long Beach Funk Fest, like I mentioned, and he's been an educator for over 25 years, starting off in elementary music classes, speaking at universities such as CSUN and UCLA. His latest endeavor is the role of director at the new Watts Conservatory of Music, the new conservatory where children of all backgrounds have access to learn and play musical instruments. They'll provide free music lessons to the community of Watts. So not only is he an amazing musician, but someone who's giving back, and obviously someone who speaks our language of empathy, tolerance, and the importance of opening the doors for everyone. So, Bobby, I want to thank you for making time for us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
I didn't want to get into the full bio with, the different inspiration on music. I wanted you to really share that story. Obviously, you've been inspired by different cultures of music. I was reading your bio, and you mentioned a colonel and a nurse for parents, and then your creative soul came out. So let's talk about when were you exposed to music and how that all started.
Okay. I was exposed to music early on. My dad, so many people talk about their parents' record collection or something like that. My dad actually had a reel-to-reel tape collection, which you guys probably don't even know, but it's like these big spools of tape, like you see in older recording studios, and you load up the tape, and he would listen to all these old recordings of everything from jazz to world music to big band to classical. So I was kind of turned on to that, which really exposed me to a lot. And then, growing up, I discovered a lot of the music on my own. I found, for example, funk music is a big part of what I do. I kind of discovered that on my own. And I remember first hearing it on AM radio, and I discovered a lot of music on my own. And then when I was in high school, middle school, I started getting into a lot of different music. I got into punk rock, and around middle school, that was the time when new wave was out, and so a lot of really diverse interest. And then when I was in high school, my older brother, who's 2 years older, Okay, this is going to make me sound old. So this is when CDs were first coming out. So my brother worked at a store called CD Center, which doesn't sound very interesting, but it was one of the early stores that embraced CD technology. So it was a whole store that sold all CDs. So my brother would bring home all this different kinds of music. He got really into Pink Floyd, so he's still his favorite band, and he just turned me on to a lot of music. And then when I was in high school, it was like when a lot of my friends were like turning me on to new music, and that's when I started hanging out with other musicians that were already playing in bands. Interestingly, all this time growing up, I wasn't really playing music, so rewinding a little bit, my parents put me in like piano lessons, which I did because my parents made me. I wasn't really that into it, but I'm really grateful that they did because it gave me a foundation of learning how to read music, learning the staff and whatnot. So years later, my friends were in bands, and I hadn't even picked up an instrument of my own yet. So my friends were playing, and it was like right about when I was graduating high school that I thought, you know what, I want to pick up guitar. So I started playing guitar, and now I play guitar like all the time. So yeah, around that time, it was like when I first started going to shows with my friends. So we were going to see like the Chili Peppers when like nobody knew who they were. And I don't know if you guys know bands like Fishbone, Jane's Addiction, Primus, but we were going to all these shows, sneaking in the back door, things like that, meeting the band members. So that's like kind of a quick rundown of like my formative years of getting into music.
And the time in high school, correct me if I'm wrong, you were playing original music too. You kind of met your community of musicians, but when you did form your band and you do pick up the guitar, it's all original music.
Well, yeah, when I was in high school, I wasn't even playing yet. So my friends had bands, I was into bands, but I wasn't even playing yet. I was actually in art school. I was in I did visual arts my whole life growing up, and then right around that time, they were launching the Orange County High School of the Arts on my high school campus. So I was one of the early students in Orange County High School of the Arts doing visual art. When I picked up guitar, it was like right about graduating high school, and I was instantly like, wow, this is really great. To me, it felt like another medium of art. So like if you guys are familiar, when we talk about different types of art, like painting, drawing, pencil drawing, ink drawing, ceramics, photography, those are what we call different mediums of art. So painting is one medium, drawing is one medium. So when I picked up guitar, I was like, well, this is like another medium of art, but it's like way more powerful to me. And it really moved me that much more. And then I basically, for all intents and purposes, just stopped all visual art and just was only doing music. So yeah, when I did start with my first bands, it was all original music. I was like the least experienced of the band. So all the guys that were in my band, they'd been playing for many years already. So it was really lucky for me, because if you get together and start a band with a bunch of beginners, you're all kind of figuring it out together. But I was playing with really good guys already, so it kind of pushed me to get better really quick.
I love that. And, I feel when you're collaborating and you're trying to put together your team, you want to find people who are going to push you to the next level. You don't want anyone who's just kind of the status quo. You want people who are going to be ambitious and trained and kind of take you to the next level per se. And I think that happens when you're trying to, find your tribe. So when you're doing this, is this where you mentioned you love punk music, you were getting exposed to the funk music and seeing Pepper's Primus and such. Was that the music that you guys were kind of creating?
Yeah, it was a lot in that vein of like, yeah, through kind of all those things. I had this one band called Larry, and it was kind of like a mix of like Primus and like funk and like I guess Chili Peppers, like, but we were doing all original music. And yeah, it was just really, we were doing weird stuff. We were kind of really zany stuff and just really eclectic. So it was a lot of fun.
Okay. So after you start having those bands, what comes next? Are you still pursuing art? What does schooling look like?
Okay, so after I graduated high school, little side note, me and three friends, 3 days after graduating high school, we jumped in a VW bus and we drove to Alaska. And we went there to go work in these fish processing plants because my friend the previous year made all this money doing that. And we drove to Alaska, which was a crazy adventure. And we got there, and this was the year of the Exxon Valdez oil spill, big oil spill. We get there, there's like no work, there's no fish. So we're instead of making a bunch of money, we're sitting there in Alaska starving. And and then after that adventure, I came back to go right into college, and I started at Cal State Long Beach. And I didn't quite know what I was going to do, but I was still doing art. So I became an art major, and I was doing the art classes, but at the same time, I was playing in my bands. And then I was also drawn to music of other cultures, and I was really drawn to just learning about other cultures, myself being of like mixed ethnicity. So I was really drawn to like music of other cultures. So I switched my major to cultural anthropology, which is basically the study of mankind, with the intent that, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to like go to grad school for ethnomusicology, which is basically learning, like studying music from various cultures. So I was at Cal State Long Beach pursuing that, but I was really way more into playing in the bands, and I got through college, got good grades, but I really wasn't following the path of ethnomusicology. And the more I learned about it, I realized, wow, it's very like academic and not so much about the music and the art side. It was very academic, and I started to get kind of turned off. Like, that's not really what I want to do. Like, I want to be an artist, I want to create. I don't want to like just sit there and study it. So yeah, I got my degree in anthropology, and I did a minor in music. And I was really hanging out in the music department all the time, way more than the anthropology department. And it was cool because I was hanging out with a bunch of drummers, so I was learning a lot of drumming. I'm also like very, very much into playing drums and percussion. And we had a steel drum orchestra there, so I got to play like calypso and soca music, which, if you guys aren't familiar, it comes from Trinidad and Tobago. And so it's like this huge orchestra, and then they started like West African drumming and then Brazilian drumming. So out of all these cultures, I'm far deepest into Brazilian culture and Brazilian music. And I've been to Brazil 5 times for long times, and was basically studying music there and playing music.
It's super rad. And obviously the heart kind of draws us where we're supposed to go. Our passions will lead us where we need to be. And obviously music, is your calling. So you graduate, you get experience and exposed to different cultures. What comes next? Do you start recording independently? You've done everything. You've been with bands, you've traveled. So just kind of give me what comes next.
Well, we were already recording with our band, so we'd already done different recordings. But right around that time, I was like, one day I really want to go to Brazil. I kept finding myself saying that, and then one day I'm like, why don't you just go? So I ended up buying a ticket to go to Brazil for 3 months. And I didn't know the language. I didn't know anybody there. I didn't have any plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I went to Brazil for 3 months. Couple days before I left, I still didn't know where I was going to go or what I was going to do or where I was going to stay. And I was hanging out with a Brazilian friend of mine. And she's like, "You're going to Brazil? You're crazy. Like, where are you going to go? Like, you should stay with my family." I'm like, "Really?" Like, and I didn't really know this girl that much. But she's like, "You could stay with my family." And she contacted them, and my brother's going to pick you up from the airport. I'm like, "Well, okay." Like, so I do this flight. It's like, I don't know, 14 hours. Get off the plane, and I'm like, "Is someone really going to be meeting me here?" Like, and then sure enough, this guy picked me up at the airport. He didn't speak any English. I barely spoke Portuguese. Long story short, this trip was like life-changing and one of the most incredible things I could have ever done. It was just amazing, one thing after another. I got to like take music lessons. I got to sit in with bands. I got to see so much music, and it was just the most incredible trip. And so I've since been 5 times total, all for pretty long periods of time. And then I'm just still playing in bands. Like I had my original. Okay, so I had these bands like around like college time, but 94 I started thinking of like doing a band with mixing some of my influences. I was really into Funkadelic. I still am, like really, really into Funkadelic. So kind of wanted to take the influence of that, and I was like getting into jazz a lot in college. So I really liked Thelonious Monk, and then I was really like into Frank Zappa too. And I was like, maybe I want to start a band that kind of mixes these kinds of things together. And started playing with a really great group of musicians when I was in college, and that band became my longest running band called Delta Nove, which we had. I mean, it feels weird even saying it now because it's been my band forever, but we pretty much ended over a couple of years ago. Mostly because our drummer, who had been with us for many years, he got cancer, and then he passed away, which was completely devastating. Amazing guy, amazing drummer, songwriter, and singer. Right after that, our bassist, his wife got cancer, and she passed away 6 months later, leaving our bassist with 2 kids and no mom. And then right after that, our keyboardist got diagnosed with cancer, all completely unrelated to each other. And after all that, I'm just like, my band's done after 25 years. There's no replacing these members. So I spent, 25 years doing this band, and we recorded a bunch of albums. We played so many shows. We toured around the country so many times. One year we were doing up to 250 shows a year. So that was like my longest running, that was my baby, that band. So yeah, that was really like where so much of my focus was. However, around the time of like 2009 was when I produced my first festival. That kind of pulled me in different directions, and then I started like doing a lot more freelance stuff, playing with a lot of different musicians and recording. So that's where my trajectory kind of changed. Like I was doing my band for so long, and then started producing this festival, started doing all these other things. So yeah, that was all like That was a long answer to your question.
No, I love long answers. And first, sorry for the loss in so many different directions. Cancer is one ugly C word, so
Really?
it affects everyone. Um, but when indeed you go through such dark times, I feel like, and I'm speaking from experience, you have to like take that energy and put it into something else. Some people just go like right into work. Some people are creative with loss. And it sounds like you took all those creative juices that you weren't able to, you know, generate with that group of individuals and put that into your baby of creating a festival. So let's talk about that because many people on this call have had some experience being behind the scenes and working on a festival, creating one, and it's not an easy endeavor. So talk me through how you put together your team. Obviously, you did it in Long Beach and gave love to where you are and went to school. But talk us through the Funk Fest.
Okay. First of all, I think that's amazing that so many of you guys have done this kind of stuff. That's really cool because I had to wait till I was an older adult and figure it all out myself. So this is really cool that you guys are exposed to this, and I hope you guys really appreciate it. So my festival to me is like a story of like following your dreams, basically. So part of being a creative person is having a bunch of ideas, you know. That's, I think, where any sort of successful endeavor for the most part begins is like an idea, you know. And you know, some people say there's no bad ideas. Yeah, there might be some bad ideas, but if you have an idea and you believe in it, you know, I think you should go for it, you know, or get some feedback from friends and maybe tweak your idea. But so this all started with just an idea of mine. I'd never produced a festival. I was really into funk music, and I started like, you know, seeing things online about like funk festival, and I would look at the lineup of these funk festivals and there's like barely any funk music on it, and I'm just like, why are they calling it that? Like, why are they using that word and it's not even, you know, representing that? And it used to really bug me. I'm like, God, that's really lame calling it a funk festival and it's not even funk. And I'm like, I should do a funk festival and make it like real funk. And so I had this idea, and like a lot of ideas I have, I might get an idea and go to sleep and forget about it the next day. But I remember waking up the next day and it was just like this really strong idea in my head. And this idea just wouldn't go away. And so I just started thinking like, well, what would it take to do this? And I just started researching. I started looking at what festivals are out there, what looked cool and what doesn't, you know, seeing like, just trying to get ideas, you know. Anyone that does anything creative gets inspiration from other places, whether they tell you or not. Like, like everyone borrows musical ideas from other people, whether you'll admit it or not. Like there's only 12 notes out there, they say. There's only 12 notes. How many ways can you rearrange these notes to create new music, you know? But it's like, to me, it's like taking different ingredients and mixing them together in different ways to come up with a new recipe. So anyways, I was just getting all these ideas, and also seeing what ideas that I saw out there that weren't that good. I'm like, oh, I could do that better, you know? And then I started thinking like, what would it take to actually do this? And I probably need some sponsors, you know, I need to find a few good bands to book. And I thought, well, if I'm lucky, maybe my first year, wow, maybe I could get like 1,000 people there, you know, maybe 2,000. So I've been researching and brainstorming this idea, and then I came across a couple friends of mine in Long Beach. One of them owns a really great record store in Long Beach called Fingerprints Records. Another guy I just knew from around the scene, and I just shared my idea with them, and they're like, "Wow, we're actually gonna go to this meeting later this week, and we're gonna talk about doing this summer concert series in Long Beach. Why don't you come to our meeting?" And I was like, okay. So I go there and I share my idea with them, and they all really like this idea, and they're like, "Oh, maybe you could do that and have it be part of this summer series we're doing." Like, wow, okay, that sounds great. Like, instead of starting from scratch, I just connected with these guys that are already they already had this idea brewing. So I take my crazy idea and I keep building on it, and then they're like, "Well, the people that are sponsoring us are the Downtown Long Beach Associates," which is basically like all the businesses downtown, all the restaurants, stores, and they're gonna have this meeting. They're like, "You should come present your idea to them." So I was kind of nervous. I'm like, I'm like, I'm like going into this room of all these business people, and like, I'm not a businessman. Like, I still felt like a kid, even though I'm an adult, but I'm a young adult. And when you play music, it tends to keep you young too. So also at the time, I had really long dreadlocks too. I did not look like a businessman. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go in front of these people and present my idea. So I actually made a PowerPoint presentation of like, what is funk music and what could this funk festival look like? What are some famous funk artists? Where have you heard their music? And like, why would this be good for Long Beach? So I go in there and I'm like super nervous because they're all these business people, and it just felt like they're looking at me, judging me. And I give my presentation, and I'm just amazed. They liked the idea. So I'm like, wow, they like it. They bought my idea. So then it's like we got the green light to start doing this, and then I just was so obsessed with it. Like, as the days progressed, I would be spending like 15, 17, 18 hours a day conceptualizing this. Like, I would fall asleep, I would go to bed, and I'd like pop up with like, oh, I thought of something else. I'd get up, go to my computer, type out my idea. I was just obsessed with it, and it just, next thing I know, I'm just like, oh, I could reach out to so-and-so. Oh, I could reach out to so-and-so. And so anyways, by connecting with these people, I was so lucky to basically, they gave me a budget to make my festival. I didn't have to go scramble around to find funding for it. So I was really fortunate, like those kinds of things don't happen like anytime out of anywhere. So do you want to?
I want to, first of all, I want to say, so great to, not have to do the hustle of finding the sponsors and going down that route, but to have people who believe in your idea. The other thing is I want to talk about nothing. I don't feel like it's just like an amazing opportunity fell in your lap. You have to always be prepared. Creating a PowerPoint, going in there and talking about your passion of music. We always talk about what happens if you're in an elevator and you have 60 seconds to sell your pitch or your idea. Can you do it? Can you convince people? And we chalk it up to like, what do people do on the Shark Tank, and how do people buy the why, right? And you going in there and sharing your idea, being successful doing it. And some of the artists, you did be able to book George, the Funkadelic and Sly Stone, and, I'm sure the Godfathers and all the people that you look up to within that music scene. But again, I just want our listeners to know when indeed you never know when that opportunity is going to present itself, and you have to be prepared. I'm not saying walk around with a deck in your back pocket or the PowerPoint, but you need to be able to create the PowerPoint on this slide. And I also think you can tell when you're passionate about something and you love something so much like Bobby does. That's when you're willing to put in those 17 and 18-hour days, and all you do is manifest it and make it happen and make it come to fruition. So I love that. So you do that for a few years. You had like a 6-year run, correct? Or more?
Well, if I could comment on that,
Yeah.
I was literally just about to say that. Like, when you're passionate about something, it's going to greatly increase your chances of being successful at it and also convincing people of your idea. If you're trying to tell someone an idea you have and you're not passionate, or you don't even seem like interested, like they're not gonna buy your idea. But if they see that you're passionate about it, people can, I really believe like the energy that you put out is just as important as like the things you say and do. So when people see how passionate you are, how much you care about something, that makes all the difference. So as I'm like starting to book this first year, I started getting contacts of like some of my musical heroes. So I don't know if you guys will know any of these bands, but I guarantee you've heard them so many times. And if you listen to hip hop or modern music, you've heard them sampled so many times. So one of these groups is called the Meters. These guys were pioneers, and they were sampled hundreds of times by hip hop artists and so many others. So I got the number of the guitarist Leo Nocentelli. I called him up and told him about how I wanted to book him. And again, by booking all these artists, they could hear how passionate I was, and I was able to get some of my musical heroes, and I didn't have to pay them like an insane amount of money, because I was telling them like, this is something, we're starting, we don't have big corporate sponsors. We're doing this really to uplift the culture of the genre of funk music. And every single artist I booked, I think I was able to book them because they could see my passion and how sincere I was. So like when I finished talking with Leo Nocentelli, I was like, oh my God, I just talked with Leo Nocentelli from the Meters, like one of my heroes. I was giddy, and then I booked the first year. And again, having never done a festival, I had no idea who was going to show up. I had no idea. But I was able to like get all these different sponsors, like LA Metro. They put ads on all their buses and trains, and it was all for free. We did like a trade, where we offered like a discount on merch, for example. So I was able to get all these different what do you call it? It's not really pro bono, but basically kind of like creative ways of getting sponsors. And so the first year I had no idea how many people would show up. And the first year was like 12 to 15,000 people on my very first festival. And I was just and that day was the hardest day of work I'd ever done in my life. Like from like 6 a.m. till like 1 a.m., just super nonstop. And it was incredible. Like it was just a dream. And then naturally they wanted to do it again. So we did it. We did it again. And then we lost some of our funding because it was through this organization that became defunct. So then we ended up having to start charging tickets. So we kept ticket price really low. did that a couple times, and then we also lost some of the other funding just because, like, even though something is successful, sometimes things change with business, and so we didn't lose funding because it wasn't a great and popular event. That's just how business can go sometimes. So after 6 years, I was just like, I need a break. I don't know what to do after this. Let me just take a break. And then it lasted 6 years. And to this day, the last one was 2014. So 11 years ago. To this day, I have people constantly bring up my festival to me. Like, when are you going to do that again? That was the best. I'm just like, I don't know. If I could connect with the right people, I would do it again. So, but other things have come up in my life, a lot of different music things. I'm a dad now. I have a 4-year-old. So a lot of things change, but I never say like that was the past. I won't do that again. I would totally do it again. But I've taken some little detours in life.
100%. And a great reason, obviously your wisdom and your experience is amazing, but it is to show that you can go in different directions. You can still be creative. You can be creative on the stage. You can be creative behind the scenes. Your growth mindset, Bobby, is one thing I just want to commend you on. Just being able to go to Brazil on a fly. I know some people who won't quit their job at 7-Eleven because they're afraid of what comes next, right? Or won't travel. What's to be? To go a 14-hour flight, go to Brazil on a whim of just appreciating culture. I just commend that, because there's some times where you have to take risks, and even throwing an event, you put yourself at risk. And I love how you mentioned it was like one of the hardest days of work, because anyone who's worked a festival knows you're constantly putting out fires throughout the day, solving problems, and you need to be a great communicator, but you need to have those critical thinking skills to put out all of those issues. But I love that. To throw your first festival and have 15,000 people is next level insane. So it's just proof that if you build it, people will come. And again, just want to piggyback off of what you said. When you are passionate about something, that's why people buy the sell. People can see through bullshit. People can see when you're not sincere. People can see when you don't even believe what you're selling. So, but those moments of reaching out to those people that you've looked up to and listened to, and Bobby is 100% correct. Everyone from, Ice Cube, everyone. Dr. Dre was notorious for taking samples of the funk music. And so what he's talking about is absolutely true. So we always talk about you need to be able to pivot and land on both feet and try something new. When indeed it sometimes things don't work out, or sometimes you're just ready for something new and you want to put your energies into something else. And we've all been there. So other than having, a child, which changes the game, I'm speaking from experience as well. What do you do next?
Well, I'm not only am I a new father, but my son was born with a disability too. So we had a traumatic birth experience, and he was born with cerebral palsy. If you guys aren't familiar with that, it's it can result from a few different things, but it could result from trauma during the birth experience, and it could be a lack of oxygen and cause damage to the part of the brain that basically sends signals to your muscles, because every movement we do originates from a signal in my brain. If I want to touch my head, my brain just told me to lift my arm and touch my head. When you have cerebral palsy, it affects the way that the signals go to your muscles. So as a father of a child with a disability, my life is completely changed. And I think about the world of disabilities and people that have disabilities, and I realize like that is going to be my life for the rest of my life, and I'm really proud of it, actually. Like, I tell my son, he's only 4, but I tell him every day, I'm so proud to be your father. And I'm really inspired by him and other people that I've met along this journey that have disabilities. And so that has become a huge part of my life. And I never want to stop doing music and the things that I love doing, but I realize like he comes first, and also it's a new mission I have in life. I was already, when in my time of working in schools, I had worked in classes with students with disabilities from kindergarten through high school, and I learned a lot, and I really enjoyed working with kids with disabilities. But having a son with a disability completely changed it. So now, in addition to doing everything I've been telling you guys about, I'm thinking of how can I incorporate this into helping people with disabilities, or help sharing in the concept of inclusion and empathy and thinking about others that are going through things that you're not. And I think that really informs me of like everything I want to do now. Like, before, when I was playing with my band, I was like, we're gonna make it. We're gonna be we're gonna be a big band, and we're gonna be like doing everything that big bands do. That's a dream for so many musicians. And it's kind of like if you're an athlete and you want to be in the NBA, for example, like so many kids have that dream, but only that many people really get there. And it's the same thing with music, about being like really successful as a huge artist. Out of all the people out there making music, really that many people get there. But along the way, I really learned like there's so many more things you could do in the world of music besides being in a band and making it. So, the festival is one example. Being an educator, teaching other people how to play an instrument is another thing. Just doing workshops and just sharing like a drum circle is just bringing joy to people through music. There's like also where you're not even in a band and you sit at home and you do your own music in your own studio and just put out recordings, or you can make music that for video games or soundtracks or TV shows. There's all these different ways that you could find a path to success or enjoyment through music. So I'm looking at different things because when you're in a band and you're touring a lot, you're gone a lot. You're gone from home. You're gone from your family and friends. So what I was telling you guys about my son, I can't go away for very long. I don't want to, because I want to be close to him. So, I'm looking at different ways that I could do the things I love while staying closer to him. And also, like I was saying, like sharing and being a part of the world of people with disabilities. So that's really what I'm looking at now. The school that we're supposed to be launching in July, the Watts Conservatory, so that would be here in LA. If you guys don't know, I don't know where you guys all live, and Watts is like one area of Long Beach that it has a lot of social challenges. There's a lot of housing projects, a lot of gang violence. A lot of things like that. So that's why we're doing it there, because we want to bring the joy of music to a community, because it really uplifts people and gives kids that don't have anything to do but get into trouble, gives them a healthy outlet. And music can transform people. So there's the music school, there's doing my different gigs around more locally. If I do tour, I'm trying to only do little short tours. And right now I'm just thinking every day, how can I do another side hustle, like something that could directly support my son or other people with cerebral palsy or other people with disabilities. So that's really where my life's at right now.
Bobby, I want to just give you such kudos, because obviously family comes first. There is a reason that you were introduced into our life and into our community, because we're all going to do some amazing things together. I love how you shared circumstances changes, but you can still, again, be impactful. You can be empathetic. You can help your community. And in every endeavor you've done through music, to taking care of your child, to being part of embracing a community, the bottom line is empathy is the forefront. And that is such an important skill. It's not one that is just learned. You have to be taught empathy. And we're in a time right now where, you have some powerful, rich people going well, empathy is showing your weakness. And it's absolutely not. If we were more empathetic and we had each other's back, that's when foundations and bridges are actually built. So the work you're doing is important. I feel putting instruments in individuals' hands that would never get that experience, is God's work. So you're doing good stuff, such good karma to you. Great transition into what you're doing with the conservatory, and then again helping that community. I want to turn it over to some questions from our listeners. First hand I see is Bianca. Go for it, Bianca.
I love questions.
Hi, Bobby.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to say on behalf of everyone who is watching this podcast, thank you so much for being an advocate and supporter of individuals with disabilities. That warmed my heart. And I just want to ask you, as someone who toured for 25 years, did you ever get tired of performing song after song after song constantly?
No.
No. Okay.
I
All over again.
love it.
Okay. And I had a second question. Um,
Not only that, when we did our shows, we never ever repeated the same set list.
Okay.
Some bands go on tour and they play the same set night after night, do the whole tour. I made each and every set list, and every single night I would spend a lot of time oh, let's look at the venue, let's look at what the crowd's gonna look like. I'm gonna make a new set list, and so I'd always try to make it different and interesting. So
Okay. And my second question is, as a festival creator, if you created one festival that's already in existence, what festival would you have created?
my festival.
Not like Coachella and Woodstock and Burning Man.
Nope.
Oh,
My festival, because that was my passion.
right.
That was like, a lot of times, an idea can be like a lightning bolt that hits you, and that's the one that came to me, and that was the one that I was passionate about. Coachella is really cool. I've been to several, I've performed at a couple. But that's somebody else's festival, and
Right.
there's some really cool lineups on some, and some where I'm like, I don't want to see any of these bands, but it's huge, no doubt. So, but that's their festival. So we all have different paths. So if I could pick any festival, it'd be mine, because because that was what I was passionate about and still am.
I love that. I wish you all the best. Good karma to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love it. Noah, go ahead and ask your question.
Do you plan on eventually doing more disability charities and maybe teaching your son how to play more music so that way he can play more music and maybe he could tour and stuff like that?
100%. Like, actually, I think about that. It might sound like I'm exaggerating. I think about this like every single day. How can I do what I do and incorporate connecting with the community, the community with disabled people? I know there's so many ways to call it, but yeah, I'm thinking. Like right now, I'm just thinking, actually, I just had a new idea. I'm going to share with you guys. I haven't told anyone this. So I thought maybe I should start like an annual show or concert or even festival that directly supports cerebral palsy. So I just had this new idea and I'm like, ooh, maybe we could just start with like a benefit concert once a year. So yeah, I think about that a lot. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of your question? Noah, right?
Yep, Noah.
Yeah.
Did you have another part of your question?
Also, by Primus, do you mean the lead songwriter who wrote the opening song for Robot Chicken and the intro for South Park?
What about them?
You mean like Primus?
Oh, you're talking about Primus.
Primus?
Primus. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what you said. You asked like about teaching my son. So ever since he was born, so when his mom was pregnant, I wrote a song for him and his mom. And I recorded it, got my friends together to record with me and self-produce this song. It's called Best of Me. And it was for my son. I played that the day he was born for him. And then as soon as I got him home, I'm holding a guitar in front of him, bass in front of him, percussion. I have little videos of like when he was a newborn, like touching my guitar. He loves playing records too. So also with his cerebral palsy, it affects how he's able to use his hands. So honestly, he might not ever be able to play an instrument, let alone like play it well, but it doesn't matter because I'm sharing it with him. And whatever he ends up doing is okay with me, but I want to share it with him. And so yeah, he actually got to meet Primus. He got to like we were backstage and like we met the whole band. So yeah, he's been around music. He's hung out with Flea a couple times. He's been around a lot of people. So yeah, I'm proud of that because, like I said, if he doesn't become a musician, that's totally fine. But I want to share it with him.
I think that is the most important part, right? There's nothing better than sharing music. You have it in school when you're sharing music and listening to bands. And as Bobby was talking about in those early days, checking out bands like Jane's Addiction and Red Hot Chili Peppers before, they were the bands they are now. So yeah, sharing music with your children, sharing music with the community, it all comes down to the love of music and sharing that. Bobby, I want to thank you again for making time for us tonight. I'm giving you kudos again for your story, sharing your story, vulnerabilities and victories, all of the above. Just an absolute beautiful story. I look forward to working together and supporting each other. I definitely have a few people I want to throw your way off of your idea that you just shared with us tonight, with some other family members who have children with cerebral palsy as well. But you're just an amazing soul, Bobby. So thank you again for joining us on Breaking the Biz. if you want to hang out for one sec, I'll show you something after everyone leaves.
Sure, and I love doing this kind of stuff, and I wish I had time to hear like what you guys do and your ideas, because I'm inspired by everybody, so I would love to hear what you guys are up to. So I wish we had time for that. I wish we could hang out for another hour, but keep doing it and stay passionate.
As we conclude another enriching episode, we hope you've found inspiration in the stories shared today. Let's take a moment to honor Yes I Can's role in bringing Breaking the Biz to life. Yes I Can's commitment to empowering young people with disabilities through education, advocacy, and mentorship shines brightly, paving paths of opportunity and dialogue. This podcast celebrates the organization's dedication to nurturing talent and facilitating impactful discussions. Breaking the Biz is more than a podcast. It's a part of Yes I Can's broader mission to amplify voices, dismantle barriers, and craft a world that's more inclusive and accessible for everyone. Each episode is a chapter in our shared narrative of progress, education, and empowerment, driven by the spirit of Yes I Can. Thank you for spending your time with us on Breaking the Biz. Continue to challenge the status quo and share stories that resonate. Until our paths cross again, let's keep transforming aspirations into achievements and infuse every endeavor with optimism. Here's to advancing the landscape of the entertainment industry, one episode at a time. I'm your host, William Felber. See you next time.